India Today Global. This is a special broadcast here on the India Today Global Network. A very important development in West Asia, major escalation after the attack that we saw by Israel preempting Lebanon strikes and a response from Lebanon with greater retaliation that we've seen. The retaliation happened very close to Tel Aviv, in the border town of Israel, and has led to a lot of deaths. 43 people have been killed in Israel, is what David Mencer from the Prime Minister's office has said. But what led to all this? To discuss the situation on the ground, I'm being joined by West Asia expert, senior journalist Dr. Wael Awad, as also Ashraf Wani, a reporter from the India Today Network, who has traveled to Lebanon, knows the lay of the land. We'll discuss details on that, but let's begin with the conversation, and then we'll go to a few reactions that have come both from Lebanon as also from Israel. Dr. Awad, thank you so much for joining us here on the network. Let's begin with why it is happening. Now, we do know that, and India Today has been talking about it for a while, as to why the strikes and the retaliation against the killing of Fawad Shukra, the Hezbollah leader, as also top commander, as also Ismail Haniyeh's assassination within Iranian territory did not take place during an entire 40-day period, which is from the day of Muharram to the entire Arbaeen pilgrimage. And why is that? Is because it has religious significance, it is symbolic, and there were a lot of travelers from across the region, from the Shia dominated countries such as Syria, Yemen, Iran, including Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan, who were traveling to Iraq, Karbala, which is one of the holiest sites for Shia Muslims. And because of the travel, that would have made all the citizens of these countries very, very vulnerable. We reported it first. Let's just go to a clipping from the report that we put out on why this festival, this pilgrimage is important, and why it makes for a very vulnerable situation, the reason why there was no retaliation. Take a look, and we come back to Dr. Awad. The world is on tenterhooks after the assassination of Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh on Iranian soil on the 31st of July. Israel and her allies, that is the West, are on alert for a massive response from Tehran. Even as the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, has vowed to avenge his death, it is certain that the attack will not take place before August 24th, 25th. And over here on India Today Global, we'll explain why it is that Iran is not going to carry out the attacks against Israel at this point in time. What we said, why is it important for Iran to hold back? Why was it important for Iran to hold back? Why was it important for Hezbollah to hold back? It's the intermittent night of 24th, 25th. We said it's not going to happen before that. But should they have gone according to plan, it most probably would have happened after the 25th. Why did the attack of Hezbollah on Israeli territory take place on Sunday itself is something we'll be discussing. Let's look at some of the details that have come out from Israel and from Lebanon. Now, Israel launched a wave of airstrikes across southern Lebanon early Sunday morning. This is a preemptive strike by Israel. They carried out these strikes only because they knew that Hezbollah was planning something, planning the attack against Israel to avenge the death of their leader, the top commander in Lebanon, in Hezbollah, Fawad Shukra. They also wanted to avenge the death of Ismail Haniyeh, and that's the reason why the focus was to strike at Israel. But knowing very well that that was the plan, there were preemptive strikes that were carried out, and then rockets and drones were launched by Hezbollah. The Prime Minister's office in Israel has spoken, so has the leader of Hezbollah, Nasrallah. He spoke a while ago very clearly saying that a few $1,000s worth of rockets launched by Hezbollah decimated an entire area. And in return, what Israel does is uses drones and missiles worth millions of dollars. So a jibe at Israel when it comes to this entire war. But does this mean that the war now is on the way to escalation? Dr. Awad, coming to you, this is a very, very serious situation. Everybody was waiting to see whether Iran or Iran's allies and proxies in Lebanon are going to respond to the attack, to the killings of Fawad Shukra and Ismail Haniyeh. Preemptive strikes by Israel, but response by Hezbollah. Do you think this would have happened a day later, but they did it a day before because of the preemptive strikes by Israel?
Oh, thank you for having me in your program, Gita. You have already said it. Religiously speaking, it is the day they have chosen to attack, retaliate for the killing of Fuad Shukr, in fact. But the problem is also that what Hassan Nasrallah was saying in his speech, that he also wanted to give time for the discussion and the truce between Hamas and Israel, and with the broker of peace, Egypt and Qatar and United States, that to give them a chance to break a peace in case it happened. But having said that, the retaliation was going to happen, and they have chosen the 40th days of the Imam Hussein death anniversary. Then that was the importance of this day to attack. But I don't think the preemptive attack of Israel have really anything to do, because most of the target Israel have done is empty places, as the Hezbollah has been saying, and they already achieved their military target. Because if you look at the target chosen by the Islamic resistance forces in Lebanon, they are fully aware of the military target, and especially the military delegate, the military base of the intelligence of Israel, which is a 1.5 kilometers from Tel Aviv. And that means Hezbollah was in a position to reach 105 kilometers inside Israel to attack those targets. That's a clear indication that in any kind of widening of this war, or violating the rule of the game, engagement between the two sides, Hezbollah will be ready to attack anywhere in Israel. And you remember, they have already sent 2-3 drones. They have already studied demographically the region. Israel fully aware of the Hezbollah tactics, and even they failed with their arm dome to stop those drones, which have taken all the pictures and photographs of every detail, even the house of Netanyahu. So I think this retaliatory attack is nothing to do with the Ismail Haniyeh. It is more to do with Fuad Shukr, because Iran, on the other side, is also preparing for a similar kind of a retaliatory attack on Israel, very coming soon.
Well, that's a very, very interesting point to make. But in terms of wherewithal, Dr. Awad, before I go to Ashraf, who's waiting, in terms of wherewithal and the kind of weaponry that Israel has, does Hezbollah, now we're talking about distance over here, we'll put up a map in just a while from now. Israel, they have the disadvantage of distance, and that's why Lebanon becomes very important. But does Hezbollah have it in its organization to take on Israel, should Israel retaliate to the killing of 43 Israelis?
Well, I think there will be a retaliatory attack by the Israelis. But as I said, the role of engagement between both sides, that the expansion of the war should not take place at any stage. Because what Hezbollah has been showing the Israelis, that it have a tunnel more sophisticated than the Hamas having in Gaza, and they are able to give the second retaliatory attack in case of Israel full-scale war on Lebanon. And he made it very clear that he is not targeting. The Hezbollah said, we are not targeting civilian in Israel. In fact, we choose very carefully our target. So if Israel start attacking a civilian in Lebanon and the infrastructure, rest assured there will be a similar attack with the same vicious actions by the Hezbollah on the Israeli cities, which Israel does not want to see. Because Iran, yes, you are rightly saying it, there is no border between the two. But I think with the weaponry that Hezbollah is possessing currently, I think any target in Lebanon and Israel is very easy approachable for them. And I think they have enough weapon to retaliate. And if Iran,
The IDF
by any means,
identified
attack,
Hezbollah terrorist
get
organization
attacked, there will
preparing
be.
to fire missiles, rockets towards Israeli
Dr.
territory.
Awad, just a
In
sec.
a
I think
self-defense
we
act
have a
to
bite
remove
over
these
here.
threats,
So
the
let's
IDF
take,
is striking terror targets in Lebanon from which Hezbollah was planning to launch their attacks on Israeli civilians. This
okay,
A short while ago, the IDF identified Hezbollah terrorist organization preparing to fire missiles, rockets towards Israeli territory. In a self-defense act to remove these threats, the IDF is striking terror targets in Lebanon from which Hezbollah was planning to launch their attacks on Israeli civilians. This follows more than 6,700 rockets, missiles, and explosive UAVs fired by Hezbollah at Israeli families, homes, and communities since October 8th. Hezbollah will soon fire rockets and possibly missiles and UAVs towards Israeli territory. We will shortly update the Home Front Command defensive guidelines for those in Israel. From right next to the homes of Lebanese civilians in the south of Lebanon, we can see that Hezbollah is preparing to launch an extensive attack on Israel, while endangering the Lebanese civilians. We warn the civilians located in the areas where Hezbollah is operating to move out of harm's way immediately for their own safety. Hezbollah's ongoing aggression risks dragging the people of Lebanon, the people of Israel, and the whole region into a wider escalation. Israel will not tolerate Hezbollah's attacks on our civilians. We are operating in self-defense from Hezbollah and any other enemy that joins in their attacks against us. And we are ready to do everything we need to defend the people of Israel.
Admiral Daniel Hagari. He is the IDF spokesperson, talking about what Israel's position really is, but a wider conversation now. Ashraf, if I could bring you in on Lebanon's position. You see, not just him, David Mencer, the Prime Minister's office, the Chief of Staff and spokesperson, he also spoke a while ago, and he said that that Israel is not looking at escalation, one very important point, but they're also going to continue defending themselves. And this was a self-defense act, according to Israel. And most importantly, in this, they've made a distinction. They're saying that it's not just Hezbollah, it's the things that the Lebanese government is not doing. Now, Ashraf, you've traveled to Lebanon. Tell us, explain to us the distinction. Is there a distinction, or is there an understanding that there are Hezbollah members now in the Lebanon government, and they all stand together when it comes to the cause of Palestine and what's happening in Gaza? Ashraf, can you hear me? It seems like he's not being able to hear us, so we'll try connecting with him. Ashraf, can you hear me? Okay, so we'll try connecting with him. It seems like we're not being able to. We'll ask him to reconnect with us. But Dr. Awad, taking the same question to you, the fact that they're making a distinction, they're saying that Lebanon should be held responsible. But is there a distinction here?
Saying he looked very victim, a kind of making himself as a victim of the attack of the Lebanese resistance forces, and they're avoiding the civilian. And I think Gaza is the best example to show the world the atrocities of the Israelis' attack and the discriminate firing and destruction of Gaza totally by the Israelis. So there's no question of saving civilian. And secondly, Gita, if you are going to attack and kill leaders in the Hezbollah, and then you don't expect a retaliation from the Hezbollah, that means it doesn't happen that way. If you have already started the fire, you have to bear the brunt of what's going to happen next. So therefore, you cannot always play the victim in such kind of scenario. What we require at this stage is that Hezbollah also made it very clear to Israel, stop the war on Gaza, we will stop the war on Israel. And that is the only way you can bring back the south of Lebanese civilian back into their villages. And the same of the Israelis of the north of Israel will come back to their homes and start living peacefully. So unless and until there is a ceasefire, a complete halt of all the operation of Israel on Gaza, I don't see an end to this story. And I think Israel, even by any sort of retaliatory attack on any civilian target, trust me, there will be a huge retaliation from Hezbollah on Israeli this time.
So you're actually saying that there's going to be escalation. That is this leading towards a major escalation? And how will Iran now get involved?
Well, in any attack, if a major war break on Lebanon, definitely Iran will take part, and definitely the resistance forces, even the Popular Front in Iraq will take front. Even then, Syria, there will be some forces also joining in. Even the what you call them, the Nasrullah, Ansarullah in Houthis in Yemen, all this will take part in a part of what is known as the axis of resistance, extended from Iran to Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine, and even the Yemeni. So therefore, this is going to be a total escalation. But as I said, neither the United States nor Israel is preparing for any full-scale war at this stage. They wanted first to concentrate totally on Gaza to finish what's they already started, and then they will focus more on the West Bank and East Jerusalem to kill and kick the maximum number of Palestinians out of this territory and complete annihilation of Palestine. Then they will have a time for the Lebanese. Any war break in Lebanon currently, it's not going to be an easy walk out. It's not an easy cake walking out. You know what I mean? It is a full war between the two sides.
Well, then let's put the map out, Dr. Awad, because that's when our viewers can understand it better. If we're talking about continuing the war on Gaza, now that certainly will elicit response from Hezbollah and from Hamas and from Iran. So it is going to be a multi-pronged war. If I could just ask for the map to be put up for people to understand the lay of the land and how it looks, what's the situation, and how Iran can or cannot really impact any war in Israel. Now we're looking at a huge span of land over here from Iran to Israel. It is going to be very difficult. It is an uphill task for Iran. How convenient is it for them to move through Iraq and move the weapons through Iraq into Lebanon? Doctor,
Gita, it's nothing movement of troops at this stage. Hezbollah have enough weaponry to last even for a year, continuously war with Israel. There is no question. The question will come only when they need a support, a military backup. Then there will be movement from Iran into Iraq, into Syria, to Lebanon, even Jordan will be involved. There is no question. A regional war means it will break up the whole region, will be at boiling pot. And then you have to close the Strait of Hormuz, you have to close the Red Sea, you have to close the Mediterranean, you have the impact on the global peace and security, you have the impact on the ramification on the global trade also. All this has to be an impact. So there is no country, not even the regional powers, are interested in such kind of a scenario. So we do not expect it at this stage, especially with the United States going for an election year, and they are already sending messages to the Iranian not to have a full-scale war with Israel, because any retaliatory attack from America against Iran, all the American military bases in the Arab country, especially in the Gulf, will be easy target for the Iranian. So America is not preparing to lose their own Marines on the war, which they are not of their choice. They know that Bibi or Benjamin Netanyahu, who was originally from Poland, is pushing Israel into a full-scale war to drag United States into a full-scale war against Iran. And that's not going to happen. It's not that simple. He might be dreaming, but he is shooting at his own feet. And I think he's going for the Samson option choice in this kind of a war, where he may use the nuclear tactical weapons to create a havoc in this part of the world.
You think that nuclear tactical weapon? Okay, we have Ashraf who's joined us, but you think nuclear tactical weapon is something that could be used in this war, because that will not just mean escalation; it will mean massive annihilation.
Absolutely, and there where the dangerous lies, because if Israel think that this is an extensional war on its own existence, I think then they will not rehesitate in using the nuclear weapon.
That's a very significant statement, Dr. Awad, that you're making. Ashraf, if I could come to you. We were reporting on this. We were saying that the attack or retaliation or any response to either Fawad Shukr or Ismail Hania will not happen before the end of the 40-day period. And now they very clearly said that it is the eve of Arbaeen that this attack was carried out by Hezbollah. A very significant statement coming in from Hezbollah, a very significant messaging too. But Israel says that the political leadership of Lebanon also should be held accountable because the government has not acted against Hezbollah. You have traveled there. What do you think is the ground situation? Is Hezbollah actually prepared to take on retaliation from Israel? We know the fine weapons they have. We know the advanced technology that they have. And like Dr. Awad said, should they resort to tactical nuclear weapons? What happens then?
Geeta, absolutely. Since the 8th of October 2023, there is not a single day when there is not cross-border shelling or artillery fire or the exchange of rockets from South Lebanon to northern parts of Israel, and then from Israel to the South Lebanon. But the line was crossed what the Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah said when their top military commander Fawad Shukr was assassinated last month. And since then, this war between Israel and Hezbollah has already escalated. We have seen on the daily basis when 30, 40 rockets were fired from the South Lebanon, and then the retaliatory action from the Israeli defense forces. But the statement, what has been given by the Hassan Nasrallah today evening, he said that the first phase of the revenge attack for the killing of Fawad Shukr has been completed. So it means there are many more phases. And also we have to remember that the supreme leader of Iran has stated that they are going to take the revenge of the killing of Ismail Hania, who was killed in the capital of Iran. So that was earlier also assumed that probably there will be the coordinated attack. First, Hezbollah will strike Israel. They have carried out that strike today. And then the Houthis will also come in the battle. They can also assist what they are claiming for the Hamas and for the genocide in Gaza. That is on way. And in fact, yesterday they attacked a Greek ship that was an oil tanker, and those visuals were very devastating. How that ship got completely burned in that attack strike. And now it will depend within the 2, 3, 4 hours, or we can say 12 hours. What will be the reaction of the Israel on these attacks? What they earlier said when they during the night attacked the what they claimed the installations and the missiles of the Hezbollah, but on other side, Hassan Nasrallah said that in the Israeli action, there was not any damage to their warehouse or their missiles. So that means that the Israel is still thinking there was the war cabinet in the day, which was headed by the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, but still the Israel is clearly understanding that what Hezbollah was 2 decades back and what now Hezbollah is. Hezbollah had not. When I was in the Lebanon, South Lebanon, and then in Beirut, I interacted with some of the commanders of the Hezbollah. They said before a decade they had not. In 2006 war, they had
Yeah.
not the UAVs, they had not the drones, they had not the particularly the drones. They have not the surveillance systems. And
Or
during
advanced
last few days,
technology. Right now, Hezbollah looks quite advanced in technology as well.
absolutely, and the way they have posted the videos of the uh, recently 3 days or 4 days back, the underground tunnels where they have shown the missiles by the name of Ahmad, and still they have not used that missile, Iran-made missile against Israel. And that was a kind of a warning for the Israel. And also the footage, even today, the footage released by the Hezbollah, they are specifically showing the targets, and also they have made it clear that still they have not targeted civilian installations. They are only targeting military installations, and if Israel targets civilians, and their response will be something devastating against Israel. So it is clear the tension is escalating, and there it is sure when Israel will carry out any response attack against Hezbollah, there will be civilian casualties. And as we have seen earlier, during last many days, many civilians also killed with the Hezbollah fighters in the Israeli strikes. So that means the Hassan Nasrallah has warned the Israel that if there will be any kind of a casualty on the civilian side in the Lebanon, in the South Lebanon, then it will be responded. That means they will directly attack the civilian settlements, which are not so much used and prepared for that kind of attacks, what the people in Gaza are facing or have faced, or in fact, in the Lebanon, what they have faced in the 80s, then in 2006, and now. So it was just a glimpse, a signal from the Hezbollah to the Israel that see our capabilities. We can target your military installation, and if we are pushed to target your civilian installation or civilian localities, then it will be very dangerous.
Very, very interesting, Dr. Awad. Ashraf is putting out a very interesting perspective on Hezbollah, how it's thinking, what it's doing in Lebanon. But can I come to you for Nasrullah's statement? Now, Hassan Nasrullah has made a statement which brings us to a wider question on whether if Gilot base was indeed attacked or not. In his long speech, which spanned over an hour, he said that if Hezbollah had indeed succeeded in attacking the Gilad base, he said that the militia would not seek further revenge for the assassination of Shukra, the senior commander who was killed in Beirut. This is at one point he said that if this is, then they have avenged the war if Gilad base was attacked. Then later he also goes on to say that, earlier he said that Nasrallah actually had claimed that Hezbollah successfully targeted the Gilad base. Uh, no evidence as such has been provided for it, but denied any Israeli disruption and a preemptive strike. So, what do you think is happening over here? What is Nasrallah meaning to say? Was the Gilad base attacked or not? Or is he trying to just say that if we have attacked, then we have avenged? If we have not attacked, then we have not?
He already made it very clear, Gita, that they have already attacked. It is an already stated that 1.5 kilometers near to Tel Aviv, the military base Gililot was attacked and been targeted. But even they have enough evidence to prove, to counter the Israelis' versions of saying that they have not been attacked, because most of the military target, as Ashraf was saying, has been displayed by Hezbollah, that they have been attacking it, and they have already targeted only military bases and the intelligence of Israel. Even Netanyahu's house was under their, eyes and vision to attack. So I don't
Really?
think, of course, then the Hezbollah understand, and they have done complete the topography of reading of the whole region, and Israel was shocked that they were not able to track the drones of Hezbollah who have done all this photography. So I think what is happening in this psychological war, that Israel may be in the state of denial of the amount of attack on the military bases, but with Hezbollah showing evidence Every Israeli spokesperson or any military will tell you, and those on the eyewitnesses on the ground will tell you that the ambulances or there is an attack and there are movement of ambulance into the area where the Hezbollah has been attacking, and Hezbollah throwing 300 rocket Katyusha, small range Katyusha, before sending the drones in 100 direction. It's a clear indication they were already preparing for such kind of retaliatory attack against the killing of Fuad Shukr.
Okay, then again, let's break it down a little again before I come to you, Ashraf. This is a very important statement, so we just have to understand it. When the leaders from that part of the world speak, there's a lot of nuance and layers, and you have to read between the lines. So, Dr. Awad, is Nasrallah actually saying that we have attacked Gililot? And if Israel continues to claim that we have not attacked, then we will have to further avenge the death of Fuad Shukr. But if Israel does not want escalation, then they should just accept that, yes, it was attacked, because that certainly is the case. And we will not further escalate. We will not go ahead and attack furthermore. Is that the reading? Just
Well,
trying to
it could be,
understand, because, just an hour before, he said he claimed to have attacked, and then 43 minutes after, he actually, or 15-20 minutes after, he actually goes on to say, if you think we've not attacked, then there's a problem there.
I think this is a psychological war between the both sides, and Israel understands very well that the Israeli deterrence against Hezbollah is no more active, by the way. They have already proved that they are very vulnerable. Except for the American support, Israel cannot survive the attack and onslaught by the resistance forces led by Hezbollah. So therefore, Israel, despite their superiority on the sky and the attack and the American weaponry, they know that the proximity, Gita, to each other makes it very easy target to reach anywhere in Israel. So therefore, they do not want an escalation. They may deny being bombed because they don't want any retaliatory attack. Because as we are speaking right now, there are news coming to us that there are indifferences inside the cabinet of the Israeli government, that there are differences about the attack on Lebanon, how the attack was carried out, and what was the target they have chosen. All this have come to the light, that there is already differences within the military cabinet of the Israeli government. So therefore, I think that speaks volume of the amount of pressure Netanyahu is facing. Either should go for a full-scale war or end the massacre and the genocide on Gaza.
That, Dr. Awad, is a very important part that I'd like to touch upon. That's what's happening within Israel. The differences, the infighting, questioning of Bibi, all that and more. Let's just put up the map that we'd spoken of earlier. And Ashraf, take us through what this map really looks like and how impossible it will become for Israel to counter a multi-pronged attack from various quarters, whether it's Yemen, Houthis from Yemen, Hezbollah from Lebanon, Iranians themselves, or for that matter, Syria becoming a very important part of this entire game plan, and Iraq as well. So let's just explain to our viewers what this really means. That's the map, and and look where Israel is, and look where Iran is. There's an entire stretch of Iraq, Syria, that comes before a Jordan, that comes before they can even reach Israel. But look at where Lebanon is. It's just adjacent to Israel. So Ashraf, just explain this multi-pronged strategy that we're looking at from Iran and Iran's allies.
Geeta, basically what I understand and what most of the analysts and the experts of the Middle East believe, that the day till the genocide in the Gaza continues, there will be no relief from the Iran and its proxies, what we call, either in Syria or in Iraq or in Lebanon or in the Yemen. They all will start wounding the Israel, and they have already cleared and made statements about it. In fact, Hezbollah, as I said, started its attacks on the northern parts of Israel from October 8, the day when the war started between the Gaza, Hamas and the Israel. On the other side, the Benjamin Netanyahu he was trying his hard to bring and to drag Iran as well as other partners of the Iran into the war. He managed to bring the Hezbollah and Houthis and some fighter groups in Syria, but so far Iran is avoiding to get dragged in the war. And on other side, the Israel is very intelligent. They just want to push war between America and Iran. So far, the Israel
Can that
has not
happen?
succeeded.
Actually, can
But
that really happen? Can there be a war between Iran and America without Israel getting involved? Because, like Dr. Awad said, U.S. right now, one, they're on election mode. Right now, cannot afford so many fronts opened up. Whether it's the Russia-Ukraine war, now you're looking at Israel, Hamas, and then you always have a forever challenge in the South China Sea with China and Taiwan. So can this really be a plausible argument?
it is very difficult, and both the countries, mostly the Americans, understand that how difficult it will be. They can be supporter of the Israel, but they are already supplying the war stuff to the Israel, the fighter jets, the bombs they are using since last 10 and more months now in Gaza as well as in the Lebanon and other parts the of their operations. But the elections coming in the month of November, and the way there is a lot of pressure not only from the public and politicians on the US government, mainly from the public and their allies, mainly in the Middle East, that how they are getting isolated, those countries who are in the support of the America and have the bases in Iraq as well as in the Jordan and other countries. That is making it very difficult that America will not take direct confrontation with the Iran. But one thing is clear: Iran also understands that the way they are under the pressure and under sanctions for last so many years, their economy is very shaggling. And now, despite that, Iran wants to show its dominance in the Middle East. That is why the supreme leader of the Iran clearly said when Ismail Hania was assassinated in Tehran that its revenge will be taken, and it is must for the Iran if they will avoid the revenge from Israel on that assassination. It will be a kind of a not only isolation but also a kind of a disgrace for the Iran that so far claiming as well is one of the powers in the Middle East could not handle the Israel. And Israel has also the way they have settled. Just we are talking, they have given the fresh orders uh, in the Darul Bala that the only one health facility which has remained active, Aqsa Hospital, they have just issued orders that all the people, there are not only the patients but also thousands of people have taken shelter in Al-Aqsa Hospital. They have also given now orders to vacate that hospital. And also they have killed some 80 civilians, including some families and children during the last 24 hours. And the death toll in the Gaza has already crossed 40,400. That means on these all actions of the Israel in Gaza could not be unseen. And that is why the Hezbollah as well as the Houthis and the other players of Iran in the region will continue till that time when there will be any kind of a ceasefire agreement between the Israel and the Hamas. Till then, there will be no let off in these kind of activities, or we can say these kind of conflicts between these countries in the Middle East. And it is worrying for the Israel, definitely, because already there are everyday protests in the streets of Tel Aviv and other cities by the relatives as well as the supporters of all those people who are hostage settled with the Hamas. Many of them had been killed already. Their dead bodies had been handed over to their families. But there is a pressure which is mounting on the Benjamin Netanyahu, and Benjamin Netanyahu only
Exactly.
uses the trick how much he can engage and prolong this war so that his chair and his prime ministership remains intact.
Okay, then let's talk about Netanyahu. Dr. Awad, just before I went to Ashraf, you were talking about that, and we come back to that. A lot of pressure on Netanyahu. There are political parties that have now distanced themselves from Bibi. They're saying, do not come to us because we no longer support you. How long can he sustain a war where he's becoming unpopular? And the hostage crisis continues, where people are dissatisfied with what Israel has done as a government. And they're asking for the return of hostage and peace talks rather than the bombing and the offensive that continues in Gaza. So, catch 22 for Netanyahu, who is known to be an intel man, where on the one hand he'd want to see Hamas erased, but on the other, there's a major challenge, the hostage crisis, and the political turmoil that we're now seeing within Israel.
I think Netanyahu is not in a very envious position currently because internally
Certainly not.
there is a cases against him wherein he stops this war. Definitely, his political career is over, and he'll be jailed for the cases inside the Israeli courts, which have been discussing it for months. That as long as this war continue, he will continue to be in office. Having said that, Netanyahu is using also the religious sentiment, and he's trying to use some of his biblical beliefs that this is a war of the extensioners of Israel, and he is achieving the objective of Israel by annihilating the whole of Palestine, by expelling the remaining Palestinian and killing the maximum number of them, then taking full control of West Bank and East Jerusalem, where he thinks that he can do that. But I think he is denying the fact that there are also people of Israel who are their families of the prisoners who have wanted their people alive. And you remember, Gita, that there are many of them have been killed by Israeli military action on Gaza. And that's why the pressure is piling on Netanyahu to stop this war. And he is only surviving with the right wing and the most extremist government coalition he have ever seen in the history of Israel for the last 76 years. So I think that is give us a very dangerous trend toward the escalation. Secondly, which he's also playing the card of the American election. In fact, he is playing the card of Trump very well because he doesn't want Kamala Harris to come, and he wanted to continue this war as long as till the election of the United States takes place, and maybe he's building hope that the Trump will be giving him the upper hand to continue this war. So I think there are lots of things significantly happening, and he's trying to ride on the top of this turbulent current he created. But at the end of the day, if his government collapses, I think the Israeli people will realize that he is now being accused that he is causing the extensionist threat to Israel, and he is more dangerous than savior of Israel.
That's again a very significant point you make. You're explaining the length and breadth of what the politics right now in Israel is looking like. And yes, for Netanyahu, if he does not get this right, this could be the very end of his political future. But never say never is what they say. And for him, this war is important. But more than just the war, it's maybe winning the war, because that would mean survival. And if he does not, it would mean disaster for him. And in that, the hostage crisis still, again, Dr. Awad, is going to remain a big challenge, because people no longer want to wait. They want negotiations to get the hostages out. In fact, it's not just people in Israel, even the American establishment. They're also asking for negotiations and to look at a ceasefire. We had Blinken, who went and spoke, had bilateral conversations, and came out saying that, well, they have agreed on certain amount of, or ceasefire. But what is happening on the ground? Is there a ceasefire? Is Israel holding back?
Well, Israel does not want a ceasefire. Netanyahu never wanted a ceasefire. In fact, he's been saying that he wanted to reach the objective. And remember, Hamas' existence is as much as the existence of Israel. And the existence of Hezbollah in Lebanon is because of the existence to the resistance of occupation. These will continue as long as Israel occupy Palestine. So the ideology of Hamas will never die. Even Israeli military is saying, and lots of generals, lots of even officials have been saying it openly that there is no question you can end the war and you can finish Hamas, because what you are killing civilian, you're creating a total destruction, uprooting everything, every movement in Gaza Strip, because they wanted to teach the Palestinian a lesson. Is the civilian killing and the massacre and that large scale happening inside Palestine? Is the way you are defending Israel? You are creating more enemy. The more you kill, the more there will be extremists in this region who will never believe that there will be peace between Israel and the Palestinian, or between Israel and the Arab, to speak in the large scale. So therefore, if you wanted to live in this part of the world, you have to find way of reaching to a political solution to give the Palestinian their right of existence, to coexist the states between the states, not to let the Palestinian fight for their survival and let the world watch all this genocide. And we are just watching 150,000 people killed and injured, and we are yet to decide whether this war should stop or no. I mean, this is the most inhuman sort of a war that we are watching in this war and on cameras on front of us, and we are unable to do anything because Israel still believe it is the exceptional and the chosen people of God, that Netanyahu is leading a war to kill as much as he wants. I don't know which God can be so discriminate to believe that there is one group of people are the right people and the rest of the people are not belonging to God. God belongs to everybody.
God belongs to everyone. But last word from both of you, gentlemen. Ashraf, coming to you first. What is your assessment on what the escalation looks like? Do you think the coming days are going to see furthermore escalation, or like Nasrullah said, Fawad Shukra's death has been avenged, and therefore it is not going to that the people can breathe easy for a while?
Gita, Nasrullah has said that his action is over, but still we have to see what kind of response Israel will give to the today's attacks in the deep inside the Israel, as well as the military installation particularly. And also the one of the important thing to end this war remains with the hands of America. If America lacks, they can wind up this war within 1 hour. They have to only take out their warplanes and Abraham Lincoln ship from the Mediterranean Sea, and then you can see how within the hours this war will stop and Benjamin Netanyahu will agree for the ceasefire. The war is only in the hands of America if they want, because Israel cannot shoot a single bullet without the help and support of America. Unless and until America is backing Israel, this war will continue. The day America will pull its hands from the war, this war will stop. Israel is a very small country. It has not that kind of capabilities. It can handle 3, 4, 5 countries and whole Gulf nations in that territory, and that is the main thing. So, very crucial one. And 2 days already there is a pressure not only from the America, not only from the Egypt and Qatar, but also from the many quarters, including the inside population of Israel, that now Benjamin Netanyahu should agree the July 2nd deal, which has been drafted by Biden, the president of America, which Netanyahu wants to change. He wants to remain inside the Gaza, which is not neither acceptable to Hamas nor to the negotiators, including Egypt. And also he wants to continue this war on will. He just wants to get back all those living hostages and then continue war. But neither the Hamas nor the Egypt want us, so they now want to end this war so that at least the suffering of the people in Gaza and Palestinians could come to end.
Right. Concluding remarks, Dr. Awad. According to you, we know that Israel is a very, very tiny state in West Asia. So it is vulnerable. They will have to rethink their strategy, whether they want to continue the way and the manner in which they're continuing, irrespective of American support, because Americans have not put boots on the ground. They've helped them with support, with weapons, aid, so on and so forth. So in such a scenario, Will Israel have to recalibrate whether they can continue the war the manner in which they are? Because you can otherwise see from Iran, Iraq, Syria, things reaching Lebanon, and the Hezbollah will always have the support and the backing that's coming through this entire region. In such a scenario, what's your assessment? What's your reading? Is there an escalation in coming days?
Well, I think 100 years of saga against the Palestinians started a century ago. Until date, there is no end to this war because Israel's objective have not been achieved. And if Netanyahu remained in power, he wanted to make sure that the whole of Palestine has been annihilated and the Palestinians subjected into slaves, and those the remaining will be kicked out or killed or subjugated into being a slave for the Israeli government. And remember, the Israelis still, people like Netanyahu believe that the border of Israel is from Euphrates to Nile. So that means including Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, the Sinai Peninsula, and 1/3 of Saudi Arabia, plus Jordan. If that is the plan, then I think this perpetual provocation for permanent war is a policy will continue. And we cannot give a clean sheet to the United States because they are not putting foot on the ground. I think it is the sole responsibility of this war is the continuity of this war is because of Biden administration, and the American administration recognize and realize they are no more a peace broker in this region. So I think Netanyahu is taking the full advantage of the American election after he got applauded by 58 claps inside the Congress in his speech, when everybody knows that he's creating a genocide and killing innocent people. Still, he thought that by killing all this selective killing of leaders, he can still win this war. I don't think there is winning of this war. I think it's an extensional war going to happen. Either we or either them. There is no end to it.
Standing ovation for Netanyahu. That's again, an important reminder of what America's position has been and could be in this entire war. It is going to be a tense few days from now. We'll have to wait and see, like Ashraf said, how Israel is going to respond. They've said no, that they don't want escalation, but they've also spoken of the right to self-defend. There are Israeli men and women who've been killed. So this is a major retaliation by the Hezbollah for the killing of Fawad Shukra. It happened exactly when we said it would. It did not happen before the Arbaeen, but on the occasion, the eve of the last day of Arbaeen, the holy pilgrimage, where Shia Muslims go from various parts to Karbala and then walk back. Vulnerable citizens of various countries, they did not want to create trouble then, but the Hezbollah have responded to Fawad Shukra's killing. Again, we'll have to wait and see how Israel responds to this. We will have Ashraf Wani reporting for us on what's happening in Lebanon, and hopefully he will be on the ground sooner than later. Dr. Wael Awad will keep joining us to discuss and break down what's happening, what are the statements that are coming out, and why is it being said by whichever leader who's speaking. We will continue our coverage on this for the next few days, but keep an eye on what's happening in West Asia, because this certainly means escalation. But how will Israel respond and when is the question? Thank you for watching India Today Global. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me.